Life is precious, and we all have the opportunity of living it to the fullest. Unfortunately, so few of us know how to manage it all. How do we account for our opportunities? How do we account for our time? How do we account for our relationships, health, spirituality, homes, finances, influence, and careers? How do we account for the one life we have to live? I am so glad you asked. In this program, you will find answers to all of these questions and more. Welcome to the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore.
What's happening, everybody? What's going on? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Account for Life podcast. And today, here's what we're talking about. What you see is what you get. You know, when it comes to being successful, many of us have the wrong picture in our minds. And so today we're going to look at, what it really means to create the picture and pretty much how anybody can change the picture, change the image that they have so that they can actually get the things that they would like. So guys, welcome to this episode. 363 days in, 2 more days left in 2022. What an amazing time to be living. I was thinking of a book last night that I've read, a seminar that I've listened to many times. And the seminar and the book is called You Were Born Rich. You heard of that book? That's written by the great Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor passed away in February of this year. But Bob Proctor, I think he was almost 90 years old. He was almost 90 years old, and he was still operating at a high level. It's just that, sometimes you get old and then, life is going to leave all of our bodies at some point. But up until the day he died, he was pretty much still working. He was pretty much still doing programs and helping people to discover things about themselves, helping people to blast off in their businesses and in their life. He dedicated his life to it. Literally, after he discovered it and learned it through a book. What was the books that he read? The main books was Think and Grow Rich. Think about this. He used to walk around with Think and Grow Rich. And he had this book and he walked around with it all the time. And that old version almost looked like a Bible, like it was black. And, I think it was, it just looked like it could have been the Bible, but he walked around with that book and he studied the book because what he discovered in the book was how to get what it is that he ultimately desired for his life. And here's what's interesting. Are you a kingdom entrepreneur? Are you a Christian, someone who believes in God? Let me ask this question. Why is it, I'm going to just say, why is it that the people who should know the truth of the people who should really know how to do these things don't know how to do them? Why is that? That's a hard question. It's a really hard question. I was listening and watching a video yesterday, and you should check this. You should check Myron Golden out on YouTube. It was the secret weapon, Satan's secret weapon. And I never heard anybody talk on this before in my life. And it really showed. I was like, whoa, so many people are being used. So many people are not paying attention to this secret weapon that Satan's using against all of us. All right. So what you see is what you get. Bob Proctor, in the chapter of his book, You Were Born Rich, there's a chapter called Let Go and Let God. I'm gonna tell you, when I saw that chapter, I was like when I first got the book, like I didn't look at Bob as somebody who would help me to understand God better. Because, he's not a pastor, he's not a minister, but he sure did help me to understand God better. That book, Born Rich. You Were Born Rich. And I'm reading this chapter, and it came to my mind last night. I was on a Zoom call with an inner healing specialist. Shout out to Dan Frazier, who's been helping me, in just helping me. It's not, I didn't it's because I had a couple of calls that I got for free. I said, let me use these calls. Let me figure out if there's something that I can break free of. And do you know, we spent almost 2 hours together. Now, 1 hour early, 1 hour at the beginning of the month, and then 1 hour last night. We was in our 50th minute. We were wrapping the call up. And as he was wrapping the call up, Holy Spirit came over him. And the Holy Spirit said, hey, wait a second, we missed something. And I was like, we did? So then he comes back to a story that I had given him. I got to share this with my wife later. He comes back to a story that I'd shared with him. And once we got deeper into that story, I just started bawling because God showed up in the conversation last night and said, let go. Let go. See, guys, if we're going to see the things that we ultimately desire, we're going to have to let go and let God. That's what God told me last night. He says, let go and let me. You can't do it, but I can. And in this moment of breakthrough, literal breakthrough, he showed me where he had already done it. He says, look, I already did it. And you've been fighting against it when I did it right there. Almost 17 years ago, he had already done it. So if you can't get to where you're going, let me back up. If you're having trouble, like I'd been having trouble, seeing and getting what it is that I actually desired, then it's time to let go. And it's crazy because this morning, check this out. As I'm driving from the gym and I'm just like, man, let go and let God. Oh, yes, that's right. Coming back to me. I said, let me turn on the Audible of You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. Don't know what chapter it's in. Guys, I didn't know what chapter it's in. Because it's Audible, right? It says chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those chapters are not necessarily the same as the book. So I'm just like, but I didn't know what chapter it was. Do you know? So I looked. I saw chapter 8 and 9. I said chapter 9. No, it's not chapter 9. It's chapter 8. I clicked chapter 8. Do you know chapter 8 was let go and let God? I just paused it there and I said, whoa, wow. God truly is showing up today. He's showing up every day. And in the chapter, it talks about where God is. God is evenly distributed every place, everywhere, all the time. Distributed is everywhere. It's energy. We have to manage our energy so that we can make the connection to him, so that we can experience the life that he's already given us. If you're not getting the results, if you're having a hard time seeing your results, then it's because you have the wrong image of your results. And you can only get what you see. And if you see a bad image, if you see a negative image, if you see a situation in your life that you don't like, and that's what you see, then you have to continue to get it. It was like when I started listening to this chapter, my body just went into a new feeling. It was the joy and peace that I got last night from knowing that I've turned everything over, even though I had turned everything over before. It's the joy and the peace knowing that God has already set it up for you and me to win, and to win big in a way that only you can win. So if you're seeing things that are negative in your life, then that means it's time to let go of those things. It's time to let go and say to yourself, okay, how do I let go of that image? Well, That's when you insert the last part, let go and let God. And see, when you let go and let God and you turn over everything to that higher being, that higher power, that higher energy. See, God is energy. And his energy is perfect. And if you have negative energy, you can't connect to good energy. It's not possible. I've had so much negative energy in my life. So even when I'm thinking I'm doing good, the negative energy is in there. And it's keeping me from, like just mentioning negative energy brings back experiences. So what's the key? Don't mention negative energy. Don't talk about negative things. Don't do it. Because if you talk about it, then that becomes the image and that becomes what you get. But when all you're doing is talking about good, positive, loving, peaceful, joyful things, if kindness and if that's all you're doing and saying, then that becomes the image that you have in your life. Don't set yourself up. Me, Jay, don't set yourself up. Don't set yourself up to create an image that's not the image that ultimately defines who you really, really, really would like to be. Don't do it. Allow yourself to let go and let God, like Bob Proctor said in his book, You Were Born Rich. Go pick that book up. Get it on Audible. Buy the physical copy. Go on YouTube. The whole series is on YouTube. Hear it, watch it, and read it. I guarantee you, that program, that's one of the programs that changed my life. And now that I'm finalizing a transformation that God has placed me in 2022. Now I know how important that program was for me, because that program, as much as it's not a Bible, that program had words, and that program had information and knowledge that's leading me to exactly where God is taking me. So let go, let God. Change the image so that what you see, when you get it, you're excited. Change that image. Let go and let God. I appreciate you for joining me for this episode of the Account for Life podcast. Jay Moore, the Healthy Accountant, helping you to account for life. God bless. I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Thanks for joining us, listening friends. We are so glad you invested this time with us. Always remember, you only have one life to live, so live it to the fullest. This has been the Account for Your Life podcast with your host, the healthy accountant himself, Jay Moore. Until next time, make it a great day.